Welcome back to the channel. Let's explore together. Today we are checking out the Matrix Resurrections Déjà Vu trailer. Yeah, everything that's coming out about this movie is making me more concerned about this movie. Let's see this trailer though. All of the cast interviews are the red flags at the end of the preview. I'll talk more in detail. But, you know, for now, we're just gonna watch the preview, make some comments on what we see. At the end, I'll give a full, breakdown. Don't stay for that if you're really hyped for this movie, because I might spoil your expectations. So, here we go.
A déjà vu is usually a glitch in the Matrix.
You didn't need to explain that to me, but I guess some people don't know.
It happens when they change something.
Yeah.
It happens when they change something. It happens when they change something. It happens when they
Why use old code to mirror something new?
Yeah, that's what I was guessing this was about. There was leftover code from one of the Matrix during the resets, and that's why Neo and Trinity look the same and have memories from past Matrixes, because when they were recoding the Matrix, they used some of the old code. The only thing that really doesn't fully check out with that is what happened to their meat sacks, how'd they do a memory wipe on their actual meat sacks that had left the Matrix? Because usually you would think when they reset, they have to wait for the human host to be dead to pull that off. But I guess they have some brain wiping technology too to reset you in there. And that's why they're older now, because their meat sacks have aged since the last battle. I don't know, something like that. Some convoluted thing like that.
Maybe this isn't the story we think it is.
I don't know how many times you're going to say that déjà vu thing. I think we get it. It happens with... Alright, so let's get into the breaking down everything. First of all, let's just grab a thumbnail. And this is the part where you run away. If you want me to just be like, oh, cool, nostalgia. Look, they did the same scenes and be happy. You're on the wrong channel. Unfortunately, my brother's an associate and or executive producer, depending on the project he's working on. He didn't work on this, but... it gives me industry knowledge that sometimes it would be more fun not having of when you know something bad is on the horizon. Anyway, let's get a thumbnail out of the way, and let's talk about this. All right, first of all, visually, all of these little déjà vu moments. The funny or the sad thing about it. You know, you've got the green color grading on the original, and all of that is lost here to more of this, natural lighting aesthetic. And when I see these, pan-overs of here's the old and here's the new, what sticks out as painful is this looks like a YouTuber's fan version of the Matrix. The attention to detail on the shots and even, the angles are less interesting. This one of Smith punching and fake Smith punching. This second angle is close, but, you know, you've chopped off his eyes. It seems like a more haphazardly lazy action shot rather than a well-planned out one. This has that nice green color grading in this dynamic shot. This one's got all of the extra fists going on that kind of happened in the original, but wasn't as dramatic. Here's the new version of this dude, I guess. It looks like the VFX of an independent studio versus a big production. This looks all slick, and they're in the Matrix, so it's slick, and then this is all grungy, so I don't know why. Here's old Morpheus, and for some reason it goes to Neo instead of new Morpheus and then Trinity. But anyway, all of it just feels nostalgia bait as well as just a poorer representation of the original series. Now, admittedly, this sticks out to me more than it would for most. And the reason it sticks out to me so glaringly is because what I've seen of the production of this film. The fun Christmas music in the background as I'm sad. So all of the cast members have noted how haphazard the filming was, how little rehearsal there was, and it was really just the Wachowskis flying on the seat of their pants and how they felt about the film. Now, that could be good, but the way that the actors have talked about it has been in one of those ways that's reminiscent of like when you had the Star Wars interviews before Return of Skywalker and Last Jedi came out, when they're like, oh yeah, it was interesting experience, really good, the movie's gonna be great. You know, those kind of interviews. That's what we've gotten from the cast. So the cast doesn't have any faith in the movie based on the interviews, which is usually a bad indication of production. You also look at some of the virtue signaling around this movie. The Wachowskis claiming that the original Matrix trilogy was a giant allegory for transitioning. That's something they just started claiming in 2020. I mean, this franchise has been around for 20 years. In that time, they actually transitioned. If they were going to talk about the Matrix being this grand allegory for transitioning, they would have talked about that somewhere in the last 20 years. They wouldn't have waited till a new movie's coming out to be like, oh yeah, by the way, out of the thousands of interviews, we never mentioned this thing that would be central to the whole thing. No, the only truth to that is that the character Switch in the original Matrix was supposed to be a transgendered character, in that in the Matrix they were a man, but in the real world they were a woman. I think that was the variant. It might be flip-flop, but in any case, there was going to be a transgendered character in the Matrix as a representation and an allegory to some of their experiences as they were dealing with the idea of transitioning even back then. But the idea that the entire trilogy was an allegory for it is a brand new concept that is just completely false. The concern with that concept is usually when that kind of a narrative starts to be pushed on a new film, it indicates two things. One, that narrative will be far more present in the new film. Two, there's probably a lack of faith in the actual content of the film itself, so they have to push a political narrative to make the movie seem more enticing to try to draw audiences in. We've seen that before in a lot of other movies that get politically charged before release. The fact of the matter is the Wachowskis have not made something good in a long time. Really, since the original Matrix, or some would say Reloaded, was okay, but since Reloaded was part one of a two-part series, and, you know, the last one was what it was, Revolutions was as bad as it was, it kind of stands as a crappy movie because its second act was so bad. So, I think the only good thing to the Wachowskis' name since the original Matrix is probably Speed Racer, and a lot of people didn't even like that. I would say Speed Racer was a visual phenomenon and captured the corny personality of its source material very well. But aside from that, this feels like a desperate cling for the Wachowskis. And it's one that they clearly had petty energy involved in making. They didn't recast Lawrence Fishburne because they had a personal beef against him. It wasn't about not recasting, it's because they didn't like him. So there's a lot of personal emotions in this, and a lot of desperation, and a lot of hoping to get money off of a dead franchise from a couple of directors who, much like M. Night Shyamalan, blah, 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 started out really well and then fell off. So my biggest hope for this film is that maybe it'll be so bad that it's enjoyable. But if you think this is going to be a good movie, you got another thing coming. This is going to be a train wreck, and I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to be sitting there like Switch saying, not like this. Not like this. Till we explore again. I'll see you next time.